Second base, it's the gift that keeps on giving, Will. Let's talk about it, buddy. What's going on, guys? Welcome to episode 62 of Bringing the Heat. My name's Cody Pyatt. With me, as always, the four-seam fastball co-host, Will the Rock Sism. You don't have a nickname. We need to work on one, dude. I just went with it, okay? How in the world are you doing?
Doing pretty good, man. We're hey, it's Christmas time, so
That's right.
all systems on deck, getting all the presents wrapped, getting ready for Santa to make his appearance, and yeah, it's good stuff, man.
It's wonderful, man. Yeah, Merry Christmas, guys. We should have said it in 61 because this is going to come out, I think, probably after Christmas. So we hope everybody had a great holiday and time with their family. It is just awesome. Now we're heading straight on towards New Year's. Will, are you like you stay up all night New Year's Eve and then watch the ball drop, or what do you do?
I used to. It kind of used to be a every year kind of tradition, but now I must be getting old. I tend to fall asleep before the ball drops, so we'll see what happens as we do the 2024 one, I guess.
Yeah.
I'll see if I can make it, but only time will tell.
Dude, that's exciting. Yeah, I'm with you, man. There's a 0% chance I'm making it. Maybe if I don't know. We'll look it up. I'm sure we're 6 hours behind somewhere in the world, so we'll celebrate with them.
Yes.
But today, this evening, we're celebrating the second base position, man. We just put out first. This is very exciting. We're moving on to the second base position. This is a position I think we can both agree. It's kind of like a point where you can get better on the margins. When I think second base, I don't think this is where my big hitters are coming from. So I'm excited to dive in, dude. We got a new guy at the top of the list. You want to rip him?
Let's do it, man. Yeah, second base is going to be fun.
Here we go. Let's start. We got 3 blue chips. That seems to be about the number, anywhere from 3 to 5. We're going to rip them all together here. Number 1 on our list, Mookie Betts. Dave Roberts came out and said he's our second baseman, everyday second baseman going into 2024. We said, thank you. We'll take that. We're going to pop him on top of our list. Second on that list, Marcus Semien had a heck of a year last year. How about 29 home runs, 100 RBIs, 14 steals for the world champion Rangers? And then our last blue chip, Ozzie Albies. This dude, I was talking to Will about it before we hit record. Dude doesn't age. He's only 26 and plays in one of the best lineups in Major League Baseball. What gets you excited about these guys?
Man, a lot. These guys, I feel like at second base that, we were talking about in first base, it felt like kind of as we progressed down our list that there wasn't really that big of a gap, from about number 7 or 8 all the way down to 20 or, 22. But at second base, man, I'm not going to lie. If you're able to score one of these top 3 guys, it feels like you've got a significant advantage if you do get one of these guys.
Yeah.
And so starting at the very top, man, I mean, I'm not going to lie. Mookie Betts at second base, just purely from a fantasy perspective, is kind of like cheating. Mookie Betts, we were kind of talking about this offline too. This is my opinion. Once you get past Ronald Acuna, obviously Julio, maybe a guy like Bobby Witt, just purely based on the upside, just the stolen bases and the power potential there.
Yeah.
Man, is there a more rock steady superstar that's going to just give you elite production across the board? And on top of being second base eligible, man, Mookie Betts just feels like a no-brainer if you've got like picks maybe 3 or 4 in your draft.
Yeah.
I think he's that good. He feels like he's been around forever.
Yeah.
But he's only 31, and the way guys are going with nutrition and workout routines nowadays, man, age doesn't scare me as much as it used to once guys get in their early 30s. I think you've got several prime more years to go with Mookie Betts if you get him.
Yeah.
So him at the very top feels incredible if you're able to get him.
Yeah.
But going to those guys at 2 and 3, man, Marcus Semien, honestly, I don't know if there's a more underrated, more underappreciated superstar in the game. The guy
Hmm.
does not miss games. He produces at an elite level pretty much every season. Ever since he spent that 1 year in Toronto, it's like he took his game to another level.
Yeah.
And you're getting elite power. And again, being available every single day and just being able to set your lineup and forget this guy, if you've got it, is very valuable. So him at second, he led the league. Correct me if I'm wrong. He led the whole league in hits last year, and it was up there in runs scored, I'm pretty sure.
I believe so. Yes, sir.
So Marcus Simeon at 2 is an incredible guy to have, and then Ozzy Albies. You said it at the top, man. This guy's only 26.
Yeah.
And you talk about a guy that's got as much of a upside as anybody at the position, especially in that lineup that he hits in. Man, those top 3 guys here at this position, there's a pretty sizable gap, I feel like, if you're able to score one of those guys.
Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna get into it as we move down the list, but you couldn't have said it better, dude. It is. I just want to talk about Mookie. You know, everybody on YouTube, you see I'm donning the Red Sox uniform. This dude is an absolute stud. It's kind of a joke he's at second base. If there was a tier to put above blue chip, I think he is
Yeah.
in that tier. Dude has not had a season since he came into the bigs in 2014 with OPS less than 800, and most of the time he hovers in the high 8s and mid 9s.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're looking at it. I want to see how long he can do it, but correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe Rivera, but has there been a unanimous Hall of Fame first ballot player? Because I know Jeter missed by 1 vote, and people's heads fell off their shoulders. I'm trying to think if Mariano Rivera got in with all first place votes, but if he keeps doing what he's doing now, at this point, it's just a battle with time and the longevity of it. I mean, there is no case for him not to be a unanimous first ballot Hall of Famer. He's incredible. You saw he's won championships in Boston, championships in LA. The dude knows how to lead a team. And I mean, he's the ultimate spark plug at the top of a line. He's going to score 700 runs at the top of that Dodgers lineup, hitting in front of Ohtani and Freeman. So
and
that's going to be a lot of fun. Will Smith, dude, Will Smith about to be the most underrated player in fantasy baseball.
Right.
Yeah, his RBI numbers are going up. I can almost guarantee it. So
yes.
Yeah, only thing getting in the way of these 3 guys is if they can stay healthy, and that's where the big tick goes to Simeon. He's the one who's able to stay on the field and stay healthy. So I like everything you said, man. Let's move on because we got some solid names. All right, you missed on the blue chips.
Absolutely.
Let's go to Steady Eddie's. She's a beaut, Clark, Uncle Eddie. Let's look at it.
Love it.
Number 4 on our list, Jose Altuve, 33-year-old ageless wonder for the Astros, crushing it. Matt McLain for the Reds coming in on this list. I like that a lot. Let's see, Luis Arraez. I think he's on pace to win the batting title in every league. He'll probably get traded mid-season and win it in both. Nico Horner. This dude's a stud, can steal a bunch of bases. Then we got a red on this list. We talked about him last episode. Spencer Steer, a lot to like there. Your main man, Isaac Paredes, talked about him again. Somehow 24, hitting 31 bombs. Love that. Ketel Marte put himself on the map in that World Series this year. Very exciting player. And then we end our Steady Eddies with Bryson Stott, who, if there's an underrated guy on this list, he might be at the top of it because he had a really solid year, 280 average and 15 homers. He just hides in that Phillies lineup, dude, and he produces. So pretty exciting stuff. Who sticks out to you?
You know what? This is a really good list. You said it, and I mean these guys. If you miss out on those top 3, I mean you're gonna have your pick of some really really good players here. But having said that, I mean there's just a gap there, man, between those top 3 and once you get to even Altuve.
Yeah.
This is taking nothing away from the career that Altuve has had, but this is not a career achievement list that we're making. It's a projection on what we think, based on what these guys are going to do in 2024. And so the only thing that really concerns me over the past couple of years with Altuve is he has gotten banged up a little bit over the past couple of seasons.
Mm-hmm.
So he's missed some time. When he's on the field, he's still elite. And as long as he's on the field, I have no reservations
Yeah.
about having him on my team. But, kind of the opposite of what we were saying with Simeon. Simeon doesn't miss games,
Mm-hmm.
and there's huge value in that. And so that's really the only reason why, at least in my opinion, Jose Altuve, we haven't put him in the blue chip categories, but he's kind of the first man up after that.
Yeah.
But we've got 2 Reds on our list. You mentioned Matt McLain, Spencer Steer.
Mm-hmm.
Those guys are super young guys,
Mm-hmm.
but they showed us a lot last year. And we keep saying this, that ballpark, man, that home ballpark, I'm telling you, the Reds are going to score and score and score.
Yep.
And if in fantasy, that's
Mm-hmm.
gold.
Yes, sir.
And so that's why Matt McLain and Spencer Steer are as high as they are on this list. They're obviously really good players, but man, that ballpark really, really helps too.
Yeah. They're going to need to with that rotation. They're going to keep their foot on the gas.
Right? It's like Colorado light, basically.
Yeah.
And then, you mentioned it's kind of what, how am I constructing my team on those other guys that we listed? Do we want to, an outlier in the batting average category like Luis Arraez? Are you really going after average and not much else? Because that's what you're getting with Arraez.
Yeah.
And then do you want speed? If you want speed, you're going to get a guy like Nico Horner or Bryson Stott. Those guys stole 31, 43 bags respectively last year, but they're not going to do too much in other categories, right?
Yep.
And then if you want power, we got that too. Isaac Paredes for Tampa. And he's a guy that he's only 24 years old, was an afterthought a couple of years ago in that Tigers trade, and he's turning into a star.
Mm-hmm.
And he's going to hit in the middle of that Tampa lineup more often than not. So yeah, there's a lot to like here. Doesn't have quite the ceiling that those top couple of guys have, but still some really, really good players here.
Yeah, correct, dude. I agree with you. This is a really fun group of guys just because of the age range I said. And we talked about it before we really took a deep dive into this list when I pulled these names and numbers together. I said, man, here's the thing that really stuck out to me. Second base is like, we got a lot of young guys, man.
Yeah.
We got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6. I mean, that's like 6 of the 7 guys I named, 26 or younger. Which means that we're at, they haven't even hit their peak in their career. So this is going to be a fun group to watch. And, you'll draft a guy and maybe he'll pop off a little bit more, maybe in the power department. Or maybe they won't. Maybe they'll have down years. But these are guys. I'm looking at a guy like Ketel Marte. I'm excited to see what he can do. He's our lone 30-year-old of the people we mentioned. Excited to see what he can do. Coming off that World Series pixie dust. And this is going to be a D-backs team with that revamped rotation. They're going to go out and get it, man. I don't think they're done in free agency. I think they're looking at some guys like maybe a JD Martinez. He's recently out of the job, or Justin Turner, who left Boston. Don't know why anybody want to do that, but go on to Arizona and retire. That's what you do.
Right.
So let me tell you something about Justin Turner. He would look awesome in that D-backs uniform, though, right, with the beard.
He would fit. I'm with you on the beard, but I tell you what, he would be a great fit for that ball club, because they've got a young team. Yeah. And adding a guy with a championship pedigree like Turner and just a machine of a hitter that he's been throughout his career, I would love to see the D-backs do that, because he would kind of be their, probably their DH primarily, and then he could play in the field every so often as well.
Man, how the tables have turned, because last year we were talking all San Diego. Now, if you're asking me, like, where are they going to finish, I'm having a hard time not putting the D-backs
above the Rockies.
Well, everybody, we could do that, man. Me, you, and the group of people we're fixing to spend Christmas with, we could all make that happen. Right. Dude, they play in a very nice ballpark.
Yes, they do.
let's just, we'll keep rolling on that train. Yeah, I'm a big Nico Horner guy. Picked him up off of waivers a couple years ago, before he really stepped into that role as the do-it-all leadoff guy for the Cubs. Yeah, this is going to be excited. Like I said at the intro, these aren't guys that are going to provide you a ton of power, but if you're looking for a place to just get a little leg up, second base is the place for you. Anything before we roll on to our question marks? Will, I'll break it up a little bit more than I did for our steady eddies, but I just want to make sure we hit on everybody.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I just think that I think with second base, like once you get to your drafts, I think it's just a really important position to have a game plan going into your draft. It to where, just for example, like if it was me, and obviously I haven't done my total deep dive yet as when I get closer to my draft on just all sorts of stuff, but just thinking off the top of my head here, I would definitely want to try and target one of those top 3 guys.
Yeah.
But if you're not able to do that, or if you're not able to get one of those top 3 guys, have a game plan. Do y'all want a power guy? Do I want an average guy? Do I want a speed guy?
Mm-hmm.
Because second base, this is the position to where you really, like, when guys in your league draft a second baseman, you should be able to kind of tell, okay, he's going for this, or
Sure.
she's going for that, and because second base, there's really a flavor out there for everybody. So it's one of those things to where, once you get to our steady eddies and even our question marks that we're about to get into, really have a game plan for the type of player you want, because you can find it at second base.
Yep. Hey, let's keep rolling, man. We're transitioning to question marks here, guys. So if you're new to the show, these are guys that are solid, but there are certain things we're uncertain about. So let's talk about it, Will. Ha-Seong Kim, number 12 on our list. This dude had a breakout year with San Diego. 260 batting average, 17 home runs, 60 RBIs, but 38 steals, man. So he was running. They said, don't make the bases bigger for Ha-Seong. He'll start stealing, dude. Gleyber Torres, he's only 27. Talk about another guy who just, he's won't grow up. It's awesome. I guess
True.
for the Yankees. I don't know. Let's see here. Thairo Estrada. That's a name I was excited to get through just there. That's very exciting. Another 27-year-old stud. And then Andres Jimenez. Okay, there's another one. Where is he still in Cleveland there, Will?
He is, yes.
Who got traded to the Dodgers?
Do what?
Didn't somebody get traded to the Dodgers? I'm thinking of Rosario.
Yeah, Rosario was the one that got traded, but Cleveland held on to Jimenez.
Yeah, he had a breakout year in 22, kind of cooled off a little bit in 2023. As the guys I just talked about, what did I say? 4 names there?
Yep.
Who jumps out at you?
Man, I'm gonna be honest. I like all of these guys. I know that you talking kind of a little bit before the show. I know you really are high on Ha-Seong Kim.
Yeah.
I was also tempted to put him a little bit higher on the list. My only caution with Ha-Seong Kim is a couple of things. He's really only done basically what he did last year. It's a one-hit wonder to this point. So I want to see a guy like him do it again. He still only hit 260, which is a little bit of a concern for me. But the stolen bases are definitely elite. He stole 38 bases. So you could definitely make a very easy argument to bump him up the list. The guy who really intrigues me, though, out of all these players, and I know he's a Yankee, is Gleyber Torres.
Yeah.
And let's just think about it this way for a second. So Gleyber Torres, I feel like he's a guy that just flies under the radar year after year. He's kind of an afterthought on the Yankees team because you're used to hearing Aaron Judge. You're used to people talking about Giancarlo and all the guys.
Yeah.
But guess what? They've got Juan Soto in that lineup now. And when Gleyber Torres gets up to bat, there are going to be people on base. I can promise you.
Yeah.
Because I promise you, Aaron Judge and Juan Soto, they're going to get on base. And so I expect Gleyber Torres to hit 1 or 2 spots after those guys in the lineup.
Yeah.
And he is going to have every opportunity to see, number one, a lot of really good pitches to hit,
Mm-hmm.
and number two, to drive in a whole bunch of runs. And let's not forget, he hit 25 home runs last year.
Yeah.
270 something average. So, and he's only 27, even though he feels like he's been around forever.
Yeah.
So keep your eyes peeled for a guy like Gleyber Torres. I'm trying to be super neutral on our podcast here. I don't love the Yankees, but I tell you what, man, all the conditions are ripe for Gleyber Torres to have a big season in New York. So I really like him, especially where he's at on our list. And then just to kind of round it out, I've always liked a guy like Thairo Estrada. He's a guy that's going to challenge 2020 every single year, 20 home runs, 20 steals.
It's exciting.
And then Andres Gimenez, man, I was so high on him going into last year. And you mentioned this, Cody. It just felt like he just kind of flopped for a lot of the season. But there's still upside there. So if you feel good about a young guy who still hasn't hit his prime yet with a lot of potential, power, speed, he's a guy to kind of keep on your radar as well.
Yep. Hey, dude, I like everything you said. Torres, man, he's got some serious pop. He had, what do you say, 25 home runs?
Yep.
The year before that, he had 24. So this is a guy who's pushed 40. Now, it was 38 in 2019, which juice ball air. Okay.
Yep.
But, I mean, dude still mashes. And underrated because he strikes out a little bit. But, pretty solid. Fantasy is not a defensive kind of thing we look at. So that's another reason why I think Yankees fans are a little bit tired of him. Some people said he's going to get flipped 1-for-1 with Verdugo. I don't think I would have been that upset with that. But
I would take that.
Yeah. Hey, walk year Gleyber Torres, man, that's something to think about. This dude wants to get paid. This is how he does it. Perform this year. So I like everything you said. As far as Ha-Seong Kim, I like the stolen base numbers. I thought those were pretty solid. And then I just think some of his underlying stuff improved in a way that I think it could continue to improve.
Yeah.
I do like everything you said. I mean, his OPS was 749. So that is not crushing it by any stretch of the imagination. No. But I liked him in that lineup, and I like the fact that his walk rate went way up. His strikeout rate went a little down. So we'll take that. But there's arguments to be made. There's better people to put in front of the list. Hey, you know what? These lists can change. That's why we talk, baby. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah.
And honestly, I'm anxious to kind of see how the Padres lineup looks without Juan Soto in it. You know, it feels like it's going to. Well, yeah. I mean, it feels like it's definitely going to take a hit. But also, Machado had a really down year last year. So, I don't know, man. I honestly don't know what to make of San Diego whatsoever.
That core four, man, Tatis, I think is still going to do his thing.
Yeah.
And let's see what Xander does over there. He's got his second year. We got 1 year under the belt. Let's see what happens. And then Machado, I mean, you got to think it's going to improve over last year, right? I mean,
got to.
You would think, at least for those three.
But to your point, they really need Ha-Seong Kim to kind of be that spark plug for that lineup. They need him to hit lead off, and then take your pick of however you want to, put behind him some form of Tatis, Machado, Xander, and then fill in the rest.
It's crazy, man. You had a team with Juan Soto and the eventual Cy Young winner. And you couldn't even sniff the playoffs.
Couldn't get it done.
It's unbelievable, man. What a miss for San Diego. Let's move on down our list. It's part of a complete breakfast. It's Zach Goloff, or I don't know, Will. Hey, might be the only Oakland A we talk about, okay?
It's a fact.
Vegas A. My bad.
Yes.
Did you see? Can we call a little pause real quick? Did you see what Harper said about the Las Vegas A's?
No.
He was essentially like, "We don't want Oakland coming to Vegas. Give us an expansion team. Like, we don't want the A's coming here." Okay,
right.
I think it's the same thing, kind of with the Raiders, man. You bring a team was not overly successful from Oakland, and then you look at a team like the Knights in hockey. That's an expansion team, and they were immediately successful.
Yeah.
Let's get back on track. Zach Geloff, he's 24. He rakes, had a 267 average, 14 home runs, stole 14 bags, only 32 RBIs because there was, just nothing on those base pads, dude. Poor guy. After him, we got Christopher Morel. This is a guy only 24, had 26 home runs last year, 70 RBIs for the Cubbies. This dude is rumored in all kind of trade talks, so maybe be on the lookout for potentially where he could move to. Nolan Gorman kind of had a coming out party last year, dude. The average, we got a little Muncy Jr. here, okay? You're going to see Muncy shortly, but this is like baby Muncy because we got 27 homers, 236 average. Muncy said, hold my beer. How about a 212 average and 36 homers, 105 RBIs for the Dodgers second baseman. That's 4 names, Will. What do you like?
Man, it feels like these 4 guys, it feels like it is going to be like boom or bust.
Yeah.
To me. Like it feels like probably 2 out of the 4 are going to have really good season and definitely outperform like kind of their average draft position. And then it probably feels like 2 out of the 4 are going to do the exact opposite and just totally bust, and you're not even going to want to roster them, quite honestly.
Yeah.
Your guess is as good as mine on which ones are which.
We're gonna flip a coin.
But here's the thing. I mean, if I'm looking at this position, I'm looking at those 4 guys specifically, it's like, what do I want? I wouldn't. I'll put it this way. I don't think I would want any of those 4 as my first choice at second base on my fantasy team, just because I just don't trust any of them.
Yeah.
But if I get to the mid to late rounds and I'm like, you know what? I'd love to take a flyer on a guy that could just hit. Give me a guy like Christopher Morel. Give me a guy like Nolan Gorman. He might hit 45 home runs, and I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah.
Same thing with Morel. Like, the guy has a ton of potential. If he can just somewhat limit the strikeouts, he would be very, very fantasy relevant. And then a guy like Zach Geloff, I love what I saw out of him. The problem is he plays on the worst team
ever constructed in the history of Earth.
Yeah, like by far the worst team in Major League Baseball. So, I mean, just the counting stats are just not going to be there.
We got our 4th pillar. Free
Zach Geloff.
Dude.
Yeah.
That's it.
So to sum it up, those guys, they're all boom or bust guys. I do not recommend getting them as your primary option at second base, but if you like any of those as your backup, by all means, go for it.
Yeah. I like what you said. I had such a tough time last year with holy moly, what's his name? Left fielder hits a ton of home runs for the Phillies. He did. Schwarber. And he had a ton of home runs. Average stunk so bad that you almost had to like platoon him or kind of stream him. Yep. And can't do it, dude. I would bench him. He hit home runs. I feel like that's the same thing that would happen with these guys.
Yep.
So I like what you said. If your team has like a 5-game week, it's good to have somebody who maybe plays more. Like maybe the Dodgers are playing 7 games, kind of do the schedule watch thing. Yep. But yeah, you can't spend high draft capital on them. But it's good to know what they're good for, I guess. They're probably good for good things. They're all great guys. I think Muncy works with charities. Okay, but we just mean fantasy relevance, guys. Okay, moving on.
That's the thing. Just closing the book on those guys. You said it, Cody. Like, I know this sounds oversimplistic, but I don't think a lot of people, realize this. Know what you're drafting, right?
Yeah.
If you draft Max Muncy and you're hoping that he's going to hit 290, guess what? That's not going to happen. So, like, know what you're drafting. If you draft Max Muncy, know that you're going to get a guy that is not going to hit above 250 at best.
Yeah.
But you are going to get a lot of power, but you have to be patient. If you go down that road, you're going to have to live with it and be patient with it, right?
Yep.
and that's the thing. Like if I'm drafting a guy like Max Muncy as maybe my second baseman in this case,
Mm-hmm.
maybe you want to couple him with a Luis Ariz. So if you play in a category league and you're doing really well in average for the week, go
Mm-hmm.
ahead and bench Luis Ariz if you need a little bit of a power boost. Take a chance on Max Muncy and kind of tag team it that way. So that's kind of
Yeah.
an alternating strategy that you can use, especially at a position like this.
I love that maneuver. Here's what happens if I try and pull that maneuver off. Okay, Muncy goes 0 for 5 with 4 Ks, and then Luis Ariz hits one of his 8 home runs on the year, but he's on my
Right.
bench. So
Right.
that is the thing about fantasy baseball that makes you want to rip your hair out, but that's
It
okay.
does.
We still love it. We come back every year, baby.
Yep.
Here we go. Moving on, a couple names here that I like. Edward Julian, man, he came on the scene for the Twins last year. Really solid baseball guy, 24. Had 263 average, 16 home runs, 37 RBIs. So a little bit to like there. We'll see what we get with a full year under our belts. Jonathan India, the tradeless wonder. They cannot get rid of this guy. I don't know where he's going to play for the Reds.
So
He's
true.
I don't know, dude. He's going to end up somewhere. Send him to Vegas. I don't know. He seems like a nice guy. Don't do that to him. 244 average, 17 home runs, 61 runs batted in. Tommy Edman, this guy is he's all wheels, man. How about 27 steals for Tommy Edman? For the Cardinals, he was like leading off for part of the year, then he was batting ninth for part of the year. So who knows what you're going to get? Maybe with a revamped Cardinals, you get a revamped Tommy Edman. Jorge Polanco, talk about a guy who needs to bounce back from injury. Has had some pop in the past, but in 2023, this is going to be a big prove it year. And then last guy, Brandon Drury, that we're going to talk about in this little bunch. This guy, he ain't bad, man. 26 ding dongs, 83 RBIs. He's going to give you position compatibility. We talked about it with first base. Who's standing out to you, bud?
Yeah, these guys are kind of intriguing to me. I kind of like what I've seen so far out of Julian for the Twins.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like they really want him to kind of be their leadoff guy. The issue is I don't know if this is going to change yet, but he's a lefty, so sometimes if they're facing a lefty, he gets benched, which kind of stinks, honestly. But if he gets full playing time for the most part, I think he can definitely be a useful guy. He's shown decent power. He feels like he could hit for a pretty good average. So he's the guy that I would keep my eye on. He's only 24 years old. The Twins don't have a ton of hitters, so they need a guy like him to step up. Jonathan India, you mentioned it. The guy has a lot of talent. But it just feels like he at some point is going to be the odd man out in Cincinnati.
It's going to be like 3 odd men out.
Yeah. So I honestly don't know what to think of Jonathan India. I like him. I think he's got a lot of ability, but I just honestly don't know what his role is going to look like on that Reds team now.
I got a prediction for you.
I think he's going to get traded.
Gross feeling he's going to get traded to the White Sox in some kind of deal that sends Dylan Cease their way, and then we just never hear from him again.
God, if he goes to the White Sox, that is like the black hole.
No, come back to us.
Yeah. So anyways, we'll see what happens with Jonathan India. I just think there's a lot of unknowns there right now.
Yeah.
And then Tommy Edman, when I see a guy like Tommy Edman, there's honestly not a lot that gets me super excited at this point.
Yeah.
Other than the steals. So if he's going to be kind of your backup second baseman, especially if you went power early on, get a guy like Tommy Edman, and he can be a guy that you just plug and play every so often, especially in a category league or a roto league, to where he gets you a few steals as needed.
Yeah.
And then Polanco and Drury, those are veteran guys. The question with those guys is, can they stay healthy, especially Polanco?
Yeah.
If Polanco can stay healthy, he's a good player, and he's only 30 years old still. He feels like he's been around forever. But those guys, the question is health, and we'll see kind of where it goes from there.
Yep. Hey, we talked about a Vegas A. Now we're going to talk about a Colorado Rocky. Got to do it once an episode, Will, or
Right.
else, they find the show. Ryan McMahon, 29-year-old second baseman. He had 240 average, 23 home runs, 70 RBIs. Pretty solid year. Brandon Lowe. There's two different. There's a Lau and there's a Lowe. He plays for Tampa and he's solid. Let's see here. What about Whit Merrifield? That's the name. Did he go to the White Sox? Speaking of people going to the White Sox, or he hasn't.
So he was with Toronto, but isn't he a free agent?
I think I might have predicted him. In my head, he's already in Chicago.
Yeah, I think he's still a free agent.
Still a free agent? Yeah. So, and they got Trevor Story, Gavin Lux, Jeff McNeil to round out our list. So there's 5 names there. Couple guys struggled with injury in 2023. Dude, I'm excited to see what you're excited about.
You know, a guy like Ryan McMahon is always intriguing just because we've said it a lot on here, but guy hits in Colorado. Whenever you hear it, sometimes I'll watch like MLB Network, and sometimes they'll air baseball games to where you get to hear the announcers from whatever respective organization that they work for.
Uh-huh.
And whenever you watch a Rockies game and you listen to some of their telecasts on, I think it's Bally Sports for the Rockies, but everybody glowingly talks about Ryan McMahon.
Yeah.
And they say that he's an absolute like showstopper in batting practice. Like he hits balls miles.
Mhm.
And it's just one of those things that just seems like it hasn't quite totally clicked in a full Major League Baseball season for him just yet.
Yeah.
The power is always going to be pretty respectable, especially for a second baseman.
Yeah.
But he's a guy that I always kind of keep my eye on, just waiting to see if it ever really totally clicks.
Mm-hmm.
So just for those reasons, he's a guy that's always sort of on my radar just to kind of keep an eye on. Kind of the same thing, to be honest with you, with Brandon Lowe. I mean, as y'all know, all of our loyal listeners out there, I'm a big Rays fan. Brandon Lowe will go on streaks to where he will hit about 5 games in a row. He'll hit a home run. The guy has legit power. The problem is he'll also go on about a 20-game streak to where he hits about 100.
Yeah.
Like batting average,
Batting
100.
average. Yeah.
You know, and so that's the problem with a guy like Lowe. He's unbelievably streaky in good ways and really bad ways.
Mhm.
And then just those guys that you mentioned to kind of round out the list. Whit Merrifield's kind of just a steady guy. If you want just a super rock steady guy as a backup, he's a really good guy to have. Will still get you some stolen bases. And man, I tell you what, it's almost kind of sad to me when I see Trevor Story this low on our list here. Like, no, I'm not kidding. I remember 3 or 4 years ago when Trevor Story was in Colorado.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding. He was a top 8 pick. He was a surefire first round draft pick in every fantasy league imaginable.
Yeah.
And now we're talking about a guy who's basically number 30 at second base in the league, and had been able to stay healthy, has just not been anywhere close to what we saw in Colorado. And so I just hope, for his sake, I just hope that he somewhat starts getting it back again.
Yeah.
And who knows if that's going to happen or not. And then I will say Gavin Lux, I think he's going to be a guy that rises up draft boards as we get closer to the season, because he's a guy that a lot of people have forgotten about, and he's not going to hit at the top of the lineup in LA. That lineup's too good, but I think that they will find playing time consistently for him.
Yeah.
And I really think the Dodgers want him to be kind of a steady type cornerstone piece for them behind those superstars. So he's a guy that I will definitely have my eyes on as we get closer to the season.
Well, I really wonder, and I kind of want to look it up real quick. So this is me stalling as I find out. I wonder if they're going to move him. I mean, because if Mookie's going to play
Yeah.
second, is he going to be at the shortstop? I just want
Well,
to peek.
before he got hurt last year, that was the plan. He was going
Yeah.
to be their full-time shortstop.
Very true.
So I assume that, and they got Rosario mid-season at the trade deadline to kind of fill a gap there. But I assume that the Dodgers still want him to be their full-time shortstop.
Yeah, I bet you that's the plan. Any amount of money. Yeah, it's a good call, Will. So that would be cool, man. Watch him. Here's the thing about what you just said. As we get closer to the season, spring training comes around. This guy looks good.
Yes.
You want to talk about a guy taking a leap.
Yes.
So that's a very exciting thing. And listen, he is I feel like we've heard his name for years and years and years, and he just hasn't had the opportunity at first because this lineup was so stacked. And then as it was like, here are the Reigns kids. And he had this freak injury. So, I want nothing but success for the kid. Seems like a nice guy. Yeah, dude, Trevor Story, switching gears a little bit.
Yeah.
I didn't realize the numbers he had in his prime, and he's only 31, but he signed that deal. This is why teams get cold feet, man, in free agency. Because you hit free agency at 29, you're going into your 30-year-old season. Team's going to spend money for what you're going to do, not what you did in your prime of all primes. And this is the case study, and this just not panning out so far. You can look at Rodon and think the same exact thing for the Yankees right now. Dude, we need him to go. Okay, we need him to go. He can be special. There were visions of him playing ping pong with the Green Monster. We haven't seen that. This is a guy that I will 100% take a flyer on in like round 25, round 26. Your team is complete. Don't forget to draft a second baseman. We've all done it. We've all made it through the meat of our list and been like, wait a second, who's playing second? Hopefully my answer will be Mookie Betts, but no. But I'm excited to see what Trevor Story can do. He's just got to stay healthy, man, and wash this Boston funk off of him. Of course the lineup's not the problem in Beantown, but
he just got to get his mojo back, man. I'm telling you, here's the thing, man. At Colorado, it's not just this like panacea, right? It's not just anybody can go there and hit.
Yeah.
I mean, Trevor Story was unbelievable. I mean, he was viewed as a top 10 overall player in the game when he was in Colorado. And I mean, I get the air is thin there.
Yeah.
But it's not like you transfer him into any other major league ballpark and he just can't hit anymore.
Yeah.
And so it's just been amazing. And I get the injuries. Like I totally get it. But the guy has just been a total shell of himself since he left Colorado. And so even if he doesn't get anywhere, approaching those numbers that he had in Colorado, I mean, he should at least be at minimum a useful player.
Yeah. Yep. 100%, dude. Yeah, he had back-to-back years, 37 home runs, 35 home runs in 18 and 19. 2020, that was our shortened season.
And how many stolen bases?
Did he steal a lot? I've seen peak steals. Man, he had a 37 home run, 108 RBI, and 27 steals. This dude was... And
that's what I'm saying.
25. Yeah, this dude was legit. It's like Bo Bichette-esque numbers when he was his age. Yeah, man. Guys, look out for this guy to bounce back. I don't know, man. You don't forget how to play baseball. Or maybe you do. I don't know. I never knew how. So
did Alek Manoah?
Oh, we haven't mentioned his name. I got to go back and rip the episodes off and just edit you saying Alek Manoah may have forgot.
He might have forgotten how to pitch.
Dude, maybe he's a hitter now. Maybe we're going Ricky and Kill.
Maybe.
That's the fifth pillar, dude.
Fix Alek Manoah.
Yeah. Yeah. Just put a bat in his hand. See how it feels. See what he wants to do with it. Oh my gosh, dude, we might be onto something. We're a couple of idea guys right here, man. I like that. That's the list.
last guy on our list, I didn't mention anything about it. What do you think of Jeff McNeil?
I think it's a very Cronenworth-esque
Yeah.
contract for the Mets. I don't listen as a baseball player. I think it's important to your team. Plays
Yes.
pretty solid defense and can hit pretty solid. But for fantasy, he's like a really, really, really poor man's Luis Ariz.
Yes.
I think you might even said that last year.
Yes.
But it came to fruition. I think a lot of people viewed them as the same, and they're just not. They're just not. He had a great year in 2022.
Yep.
But that average deflates at all, and you're looking at a very middling player, and that's putting it kindly.
At best.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, Jeff McNeil, I'll admit, I mean, I just think he's one of those guys. He's a better real life baseball player,
correct,
than he is fantasy player. And there's a few of those guys out there. Like, he's very useful on the Mets or whatever team he's on.
Yeah.
But for fantasy, he really, honestly, doesn't really do too much for you. And I mean, if you're in a really deep league and you need a backup at second base, he won't hurt you.
That is exactly what I was fixing to say.
But he really won't help you a ton outside of just getting hits and getting on base.
Yep. Deep league, second middle infield spot where you're like, I need someone who's not going to strike out 100 times. This is what we're looking at. Just to bring it back together, he signed a 4-year, $50 million contract. See, that's what the Mets did, man, last offseason. They signed people off of their best year. Yeah. And I remember when that happened, I was like, boy,
except for Pete Alonso.
Pete, I don't know what the deal is with Pete. I needed 30 for 30 on the Pete Alonso saga. And then Pete Olson, we didn't find out who that is from last episode. And we'll just get a Pete for Pete or something. I don't know. Dude, what are the Mets going to do? I am so excited. I was just thinking about drafting and we're like 98 days away from opening day. I am very excited for the 2024 season. Even though it's not looking good for the home team, there's a lot of intriguing stuff going on in Major League Baseball. Yep. Where's this Yamamoto going? I just saw that the Giants are out on him, so that's interesting.
Looks like a bidding war is going on right now.
Yep, for sure. I saw San Diego just sign that closer. Don't even ask me what his name is because I can't say it. But he closed for like 5 or 6 seasons over in Japan, I believe. Let me see. We'll get you some real. He went to San Diego for just like a few bucks, which is kind of cool for them. But we'll see. He's left-handed. Very exciting. Okay. So I'm very curious. There's a lot of stuff going on. Did you see the rules real quick? We got a second. You see the rules got changed a little bit?
I did. I saw where they're lowering the pitch clock a little bit when guys are on. I saw something else about guys specifically when they're on base, but yes, I did see those.
They so the pitch clock's going from 20 to 18.
Yeah.
They are widening the baseline to kind of help clear up that rule on the throw down to first after a strikeout.
Yep.
So the dirt essentially on both sides, and then a little bit to what I'm reading here, the right side of that white line, that's going to be the runner's lane. So they got a lot of, it looks like they're giving them a ton of space. Very interesting. I just had this hilarious thought where the pitch clock's going to go down. They're going to like take a second off of it every year. And then eventually it's just going to be like hot potato. Like right back to the catcher. Catcher can't even wear a glove because he doesn't have time to catch the ball and then transfer it. He's just got to catch it, pass it back.
Pitchers are going to go on a strike if they go too much farther.
You got to stop somewhere, right?
Yeah. I mean, the game's already really teetering offensive heavy. We saw that last year. Yeah. And I think all of these new kind of tweaks are even more going towards the offense. So, I'm assuming Major League Baseball thinks it's more exciting, which it probably is for more runs to be scored. But at some point, we also don't want this to turn into arena football, right? So, so we'll see how it plays out. Obviously, it seems like minor tweaks, but I tell you what, those 2 seconds, especially with runners on,
Yeah.
That'll make a difference for some of these guys on the mound for sure.
Yeah, here's the deal, man. At some point, we got to think about the people who pay to see the game in person, and we're shortening that as well. And I don't know. Hopefully, it's another one of those moments where you don't really notice it after
Yeah.
a little bit. But these poor pitchers, they're going to need that, that like backpack oxygen, and then they just
Right.
goes around to their nose so they can just stay hydrated or
Yeah.
oxygenated. Really,
Yeah.
there's a batter's face requirement. If you go out to the mound, you have to face one batter. I thought that always existed. Didn't realize that was not a rule. So, but we did see it a time or two last year where somebody would go out and then immediately the manager. I think I saw that I know at least once because it happened with Alek Manoah of
Yeah.
all pitchers, but I think it might have happened a second time. But this says pitcher sent to warm up for an inning must face at least one batter in addition to any requirements under the 3-batter minimum rule. Okay, so very interesting. I think these guys have too much time on their hands, Will. Dude, anything else? This holistic episode, anything else on your mind?
I tell you what, man, just to kind of put a bow, since we're in the Christmas spirit, put a bow on this package that we've laid out there for second base.
I love
If I could sum it up, I think it's a huge advantage for anybody who gets one of those top 3 blue chip guys. I really do. I think that second base is deep across the board, but there's a big gap between those top 3. So if you're able to get those top 3, in that first round, couple rounds, I think you have a very much an advantage over your competition.
Yep.
Having said that, if you do miss out on those top 3, man, you can go in so many different directions at this position.
Yeah.
And like I said earlier, I think that if you're really paying attention in your draft to what your competition is doing, the people that they draft at second base tells you a lot about what they're trying to accomplish in regards to their team. So second base is a really important position. You definitely don't want to have just a gaping hole there. You want somebody who complements, that's a good word, that complements the rest of your roster, especially if you're in a category in Roto League. And there's a lot of really good options out there. There's a lot of really young guys that I think are going to continue to get better and better. So it's a really interesting mix at this particular position, I think.
Yeah, it's going to be very exciting. As we get into draft season, we see some more solidified ADPs that we can bring to you guys. I think it's going to even open our eyes a little bit more to what the landscape's going to look like. But I'm with everything you said, dude. Hey, real quick before we go, something kind of cool. Buzzsprout is what I use to put these podcasts on the air, guys, that you're listening to, and they kind of piece together a yearly. This is kind of what happened this year, and so I wanted to share that with Will and everybody listening, I guess. Let's see here. We did 52 episodes this year. That's one a week, which is what we set out to do. Pretty awesome. Called us Weekly Warriors. You better believe it. Let's see. 1,117 downloads. That's really cool. 13 countries over those 52 episodes. Over 3,300 minutes. So we just think anybody who takes the time, especially if you make it to minute 40 or 50 of this episode, I just want to say thank you because it's pretty wild. I don't know, man. It is it's special. I always enjoy doing this with you, but get an email like this and you're like, huh, like people out there are listening. So we want to say thank you. We love you guys, and man, pretty cool, man. Excited for 2024, huh, Will?
Yes, absolutely. I second everything you said. 13 different countries. That's really cool. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
On top of all of the, just to have well over, in the 4 digits of downloads is pretty cool. I think that's far exceeded my expectations when we first sat down and did this for the first time, and it looks like that's continuing to grow. And I second everything you said. Just thankful for everybody that takes the time. Hopefully we can put a smile on your face or give you a little bit of knowledge about the game that you really enjoy, which is baseball. So Yeah, happy to do this with my co-host, and it's been a lot of fun.
Dude, it's always fun, man. Always an honor. Guys, we appreciate you. Reach out to us on Twitter at BTH_Cody and at Will Sism. We hope you had a Merry Christmas. Have a Happy New Year. Enjoy the rest of 2023. Boy, it went by fast, Will. We really appreciate you guys. But until next time, thanks for listening to episode 62 of Bringing the Heat.